Hey YouTubers, this is Wes again, and today we are halfway through the radiator core support replacement that I've been working on. It took me about 3 hours to get it down to this point, which did not involve me removing the bumper or the front lower fascia. What you'll have to note is I've already got my bolts and stuff listed, what they are, what size they are, how many goes to what spot. Your two primary tools you're going to have is, once you get the two big bolts down here fixed, removed, is a 10mm 6-point socket like you see. This is 3/8 drive. And then you'll need a smaller fella, a 1/4-inch drive ratchet will work just fine. 5/16 of an inch. It's a very small little guy that you'll have to use to get some of the smaller bolts off. But pay very close attention to these speed nuts that Ford use. Step one for removing your radiator core support is to remove the 8 10mm 6-point bolts. You'll see 4 on this side and 4 on the other side. Now what you'll notice is you've got 2 bolts up here under this actually. Those are to be left alone. You don't need to remove those, just the 4 on each side. And then you'll notice that you'll have these little small fellows on each side of your header panel that holds the plastic piece, which is called a header panel, which is this fella right here. It holds your headlights on. No need to remove those. On the back side of your headlights, you'll need to remove the 2 10mm nuts, one there and one over here, and then you have 2 screws, one here and one here, and then that'll let you slide the entire headlamp bucket assembly out, and the chrome trim bezel there. Now the headlights, you don't have to remove those. Now what I did do was take my screws and put back into the area that they're going to be going into just to keep up with them. Did that all the way across the board. But what you'll have to note is you have to remove all your bulbs. Headlights, simply twist and pull, they come out. Same thing for your marker and turn signal lamps over here. Now the way this works is whenever you pull your headlamp bezel and stuff out, it'll only move out from here to like right here. So you'll have to inch your fingers around to get to this fella right over here and this one. This one isn't such a bad deal. But another thing to note is you'll want to remove your battery first. Just pop your terminals up, put your battery up somewhere off the ground so it doesn't go dead overnight or so. Alright, and step 2 for removing your header panel is you'll have to remove these clips. Go across this wiring harness and hold the harness up to the radiator core support. Now mine were so fragile that they just simply broke, so I'll just figure out some way of putting those back up, be it a wiring harness clip as it is, or maybe some electrical connection holders, something like that. Another thing to note is if you have to replace your horn or anything, do it while you've got this all apart, because as you can see, it's a pain in the ass to get to, and as you can see there, it needs some extra work. Previous owner had wired it up really funky. Now, on your core support, you'll notice this braided ground strap. Now mine actually had just simply rubbed itself raw and worn out, so I'll have to replace that. I'll show you later on in the video where that goes back to. You'll notice this little fella right here, these two go together like so, and then they just bolt right up to the radiator core support. Here's the AC condenser. They're held on by 4 L-shaped brackets and some screws. Actually, I've got these put into a Ziploc baggie that's labeled AC condenser bolts, so I know what those go to. And then you have 2 5/16 bolts that have really large washers that holds the fender aprons up. That it hooks onto the bottom of the core support. So you have 2 5/16 bolts here, 2 on the other side, 8 10mm bolts on the top, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more 15, 16 size bolts. And then there's a small one right here. I actually just put it right back. There's supposed to be two, one here and then one down here where my finger is. You can see it on this side where the front fascia actually is bolted up. I did that just for a little bit of leverage on that side. But all I did was undid my radiator, 2 band clamps, 2 10mm bolts, slid it right out, got it out of the way. I just let everything drain into a bucket to get all the old water and antifreeze out. You can see my new fan clutch that I put on here a while back. That is a pain in the ass to do. Also noticed the nice new water pump on the back side that I had to do, another pain in the ass to do, and a new Gates belt. I'm not sure if that's the reason of my squeak yet or not, but I'm still on the hunt for the reason for it. But overall, it's a very simple, straightforward process. And I would like to talk about this for a little point in particular. These mounts are welded in. You can get replacement ones for, I think it's $20. I'll throw a link up to one just to show you what it looks like and where you can get it from in the video. Now if you notice, it's got a hexagon shape here, and this is all rusted out. It's supposed to be completely covered right here, but since it is rusted out, I have to kind of make amends and put a big old washer on there to cover it, that's my game plan right there. Put that on there, weld it on, and then put my bushings through. As you can see, my new bushings and stuff like that, put those through, and that will allow me to seat everything back the way it should be. Now another reason I didn't touch the fenders is so that once I bolt it up here, it'll have very little room. There won't be much in the way of actually having to align anything. That's another good tip right there. So I guess we'll just jump right in and we'll start putting piece by piece, and you'll see how it goes back together. And then if you have to remove this, you just take my video and go in reverse, and then you can start from there. Alrighty guys, she's not in there bolted in or anything. This is just kind of mocked up, me trying to fit everything. Because as you know, the OEM stuff always fits perfectly like a glove. Even the best of repro stuff, not so much. Now, I'm not really having a problem fitting it in. It's just getting it to be in the same spot that the other one resided in for 22 years. As you can see down there, here's the new bolt hole, and you can barely see where my finger is coming back and forth. You can barely see where it has to go to, which means this needs to be shifted to the left about ½ inch and back about a ½ to ¼ inch. Or as you can look over here and see, need a little bit of finesse there, and you can see where the battery support brace goes on to the left side of this channel right here. I don't know if you can see that well or not, but you can see definitely where it goes on this side because it's got the speed nuts on that. So whenever you put your bolts in here on this side, it'll tie it all together. Now I don't want to encourage just going and ramming bolts and stuff in, because when you do that, then you're going to have to undo them and do this and that. So if you do put bolts in, just so happen, just put them in very loosely so that it'll hold the shape, but at the same time you can kind of finesse it around to what you need. Now you can see here, which I have no bushings in there either, so you can see here where it's wanting to move up with my thumb, and you can see the old speed nut right there. So basically this hole right here has to match up to that so that the nut will go through and it will kind of draw itself up like so. As you can tell, it's kind of lifted up now. It's wanting to push that side out a little bit, but now I can, if I want to, go ahead and start putting a few nuts and bolts in there just to kind of firm it up. just a second and I'll start putting in my new bushings, which if you notice I can now because everything is pretty much lined up. Oh, there we go. Put my new spacer in there and I'm good to go. Alright guys, another point I'd like to make a little bit of just a little section about here is your replacement hardware. Now there's different options you can go. You can go through Ford, and if you have a really good parts guy that won't bullshit you, you can get the replacement bushings, all the little shims and stuff that come from Ford. You're looking at about $100 just for nuts, bolts, and like 2 bushings. Alright, but now what I did was I went to my local CarQuest, took the old mount, since mine actually just ripped apart and it was all intact from head of bolt all the way down to nut, and I replaced it with a bolt that would go through the washer that Energy Suspension Bushing sent me. This is what comes in the kit, part of it. You can see there's more because it actually does the entire cab. There's 4 mounts plus the 2 that we're dealing with today, but I'm not going to get into those because they are a complete pain to do. So what I did was I went and got this big fella because it just barely cleared, gave a little bit of a gap to kind of finesse things, move it around, but it also covers the part where it had routed out. I can put that over that, weld it in, and then just put my nuts and bolts together. But just a word on how this all goes together is you obviously have your bolt. It goes up just like the old one did. Then you have your washer goes on, and then from there you have the small rounded portion, or if you have the kit that I have, it is number 4060. It's got a set of instructions that comes with it, lists it. And then you have the other washer, the one that we're going to make a new mount with, and then you have this big fella comes down, and it is number 4065. Now what you have to do is get these so that they fit together like so. Alright guys, I have scoured the webs, especially on FordTrucks.com, which is a forum that I'm a member of. You can find me on there as Sidewinder 4.9L. Now, given that I finally found a diagram of how these bushings and stuff go together, it kind of left a little bit up to your imagination as to how things went. Basically, this piece, this one, this piece, this one, and this one is what you get in the kit. The bolt, nut, and the brown stuff I had to use and buy myself. Now, the way I did it was you have to have the shim / washer here that comes with the kit obviously has to be there because of the head going through the plastic on the bushing. But you put your lower mount on, the rounded portion down. This is as it would be sitting in the truck, like that. Then in my case I have to use this big washer that I'm going to weld in place of the mounting bracket that you can see down there kinda is worn out. Now this has a metal collar that fits through the mounting bracket, as you can see, and then it slides up into that lower bushing there. And then from there you have this really big thick heavy shim, this V-shaped one here, kind of looks like a lobster claw. Then you have your big flat washer, and then after that you have the support itself goes on top of that, then this little square fella, then your nut. That is the actual order of things, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and try to put these on in that order and see how things work out for me. Alright guys, here she is. Not completely put in, but well on the way. Got this side. Got the lower fascia bolted back in with this 5/16 bolt there. You can kind of see it. Kind of got these loosely put on, the 4 on each side, as I told earlier, just to kind of firm it up so that I could do what work I need to do later on. As far as this goes, when you first put this in, you'll see that it's kind of off center, but you can physically move it back and forth. It's got about a 1/2 inch of play in it. But what I want to do now, before I go any farther with this, is I'm going to go ahead and pull my AC condenser up, get it mounted in, and then from there I'm going to go ahead and undo this part right here, this support brace that holds your latch assembly here. Get that all done because it's getting dark here in Kentucky, and I'd like to get this to where I can lock my hood down for a night, because I couldn't last night and it really kind of disturbed me. But it's a 10mm bolt just like the rest of it. It's kind of rusty, but you can kind of see what I'm having to do here. Just a tip for you new guys, or just guys that never did this before. This is your latch assembly. You better know it as sitting like so on your truck. And over there is your latch cable, as you can tell. Now, it has a little funky loop on it that has to go around this little, I guess you call it a rivet, to actuate the inner spring there so you can pop your hood. Now, a lot of guys might want to go ahead and just bash this little plastic clip off, but there's no need. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second here. Because all you have to do is loop it around like so. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but you loop it around like so, and this part here comes back and rests in there, and that gives you your tension. And then this little guy simply slides back over like so, and then after that's all put together, it'll put tension up here, and then it will unlock your hood again. Alright guys, this is the support brace I was talking about earlier. This fella has a speed nut that goes down here. As you can see, the little slot where it'll clip around, and right there is where the 10mm bolt goes, but since I don't have an extra speed nut, I'll have to rob one of those off somewhere else. Wanted to point this little thing out I noticed on this aftermarket radiator support brace. Your AC condenser, or at least mine did, had these L-shaped brackets, and this doesn't have a hole for the screws to fit in. So what I'm going to have to do is pop a hole there, one over here, and then one up here to hold this up. That way that I can mount my radiator in later on. And the radiator already has the areas here where you'll need to mount your speed nut and stuff right here. And then do the same on the other, put your 10mm bolt in, and you'll be good to go. Just wanted to show I have my hood latch all fixed in, bolted in nice and neat, so now I can lower the hood down, and I'm good to go on that. Alrighty guys, just about done with this radiator core support replacement. Still have one more bushing kit to put in on the passenger side, but on the driver's side I have it completely in, as you can see. Still have to drill my holes for the AC condenser and put the radiator in and hook all that up. But other than that, and putting the pretty stuff on the front, hooking all my lights and stuff up, I've got that all done. Now I just have to bring my wires out like so, and they kind of fall right back out of the places that you put them in, so Don't really worry about them if they're not just right there. Just kind of gently. Don't yank on them like you're trying to pull them the whole truck with them, but kind of tug them firmly and you'll get them to come out where you need them to. But other than that, that's about it. Now I still have to bolt my header panel in. These are the 5/16 bolts that I showed you guys earlier, and that's pretty much it right now for this project, other than again just buttoning everything up. You can't really screw this up because it's got alignment tabs here and right here. Those are on both sides, so once you put it in there you have a finite amount of adjustment. But just to go a quick overview, you got 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6 of these 5/16 inch bolts, and then it just repeats on the other side. And then after that, I'll just have to put my headlight bezel in, put my battery back in, all that good stuff, and then I'm good to go. Just wanted to show a couple more things on this new radiator support brace. You'll notice these little square slots. There's one here and then there's one over there. Those are for your little height adjusters, so that your hood, when you slam it, when it comes down, that it won't vibrate in the wind. Mine actually broke out a long time ago, so I don't have those, but just so you know that it does have the correct spots for that. Now for whatever reason it does not have the correct, it has 2 holes here drilled and then 2 spot welds on each side, and I guess that is for the old assembly that was riveted in just to hold the jack handle here. It comes over this way and then over here. I've actually taken a lot of parts off this truck, so I no longer have that assembly, so I just stick my jack handle in the bed of the truck from now on. But I've also noticed that it has a couple more areas that is just like the original. Notice the little square slot here and over there. It's just like the original. Can't complain for the price. It seems sturdy. I mean, it's all just very thin as all get out sheet metal, but this one seems to be stout, and I can't wiggle the truck anymore, so that's a plus. I just wanted to kind of note that in this, though, that the repro stuff isn't as bad as some people make it out to be. Now, I still have to mount my AC condenser and the radiator and hook up all my bulbs and wires and put my headlight bezels and grill on, but other than that, this thing is done.